Hello, 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 and welcome to an AMA with Qualcomm and Edge Impulse. This is kind of new that we're doing this format. Normally, I'm Rain Leander. I'm a developer advocate at Qualcomm, and normally I'm hosting a coding challenge or office hours. And today we have a special Ask Me Anything AMA with leaders from Qualcomm and Edge Impulse. And I'm gonna get out of the way and let them talk. But first, I wanted to invite you, if you're on LinkedIn, Edge Impulse's YouTube, Qualcomm's YouTube, or the Discord watch party, be sure to give us your questions. We will be answering them. We have Louis and David from Edge Impulse helping us with the deep technical dives. But if there is something particular you want to ask of Manny and Zach, go ahead and post it in the comments from wherever you're watching. And let me go ahead and bring them to the stage because you don't want to talk to me. Also, why? Stop it. Okay. Without further ado, let's welcome Manny and Zach. Welcome to the AMA. I understand we have some stuff that we've been announcing this week at Embedded World, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you two introduce yourself, Manny and Zach, and then we'll get to questions.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Manny Singh, and I'm a product manager at Qualcomm in the Industrial and Embedded IoT business unit, responsible for developer experience. Really excited to be here and answer your questions.
Hey
Yay!
everyone, I'm Zach Shelby, co-founder of Edge Impulse. Really excited about democratizing Edge AI development across all kinds of IoT applications and industries. So really excited to talk to all of our developers. Yeah, ask us anything.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Um, no, I understand we've got some announcements that we put out on Monday. I'll let you two take it away. What happened this week?
Yeah. Super excited to have Edge Impulse join Qualcomm. You know, we've been working at it for last few months, and finally it happened. So I'm absolutely thrilled. We had our partner and tech day a couple of days ago, just right before the embedded world, and where we announced this. So far, the reaction has been amazing. A lot of excitement from our customers, our partners, and they're all looking forward to seeing how Edge Impulse can enable a seamless developer experience from data to deployment on our platform. So, yeah, I mean, this has been quite a busy last couple of days talking to everybody about this, and happy to go into the details. But I'll let Zach comment on it as well.
Yeah, we've always been sharing a vision for enabling developers across IoT to start to access machine learning and AI model technology, train their own models, make it easier to deploy. And the only way we can create Edge AI as an industry is to train everyone from students, right, at the university level through to every sort of engineer, embedded software, application layer developers, right, to make use of AI and then deploy to real hardware. And I think that's where the magic
Yeah.
comes. I always get excited when I see a real AI model running on a piece of hardware that does something useful. And we love hardware. We have a lot of it laying
Yeah.
around our desks. And so really exciting that right away on Monday when we announced the acquisition, we already launched support for the RB3 Dragonwing kit from Qualcomm. And it's an amazing developer experience already now. Just demonstrating on Monday how easy it is to create a workload and then deploy it through IM SDK, get it on device. So we encourage everybody to get a kit and try it out. And we'd love to hear your feedback too. What can you do to make this even cooler and better? What kind of applications do people want to work on? And so the whole team at Edge Impulse is really excited to be part of this. We're all really nerds that like.
So, yeah, very high energy, I must say. From
Yeah.
the time I started engaging with the team, unbelievable amount of energy in the team. So I just want to provide a higher level context as well. As at Qualcomm, obviously we have our industrial roadmap of SoCs that we announced last year, and now we have a roadmap of SoCs, both commercial and industrial, that have AI at the edge, at the center of all of this. To make the digital transformation real, we know that taking that digital transformation happens with data, insight, and the value creation for the enterprise. So we want to make sure that that is as seamless as possible, because unless you have the right set of tools, it doing machine learning is hard, right? And we feel like that's where Edge Impulse comes in. They make this journey easy and simple, and that's how we are thinking about it, and that's why we believe this acquisition is super exciting for us as well as our customers.
And the Edge Impulse team couldn't be more excited. We've got a really enthusiastic team, loves to build technology and open it up for people with new applications. So we're already seeing exciting new applications just now at Embedded World. So we've been using Gen AI, for example, to generate synthetic data, do automatic AI labeling. That's a cool feature on Edge Impulse. If you haven't tried that out, try it out now. Now we're taking that Gen AI and starting to put it on the edge.
At the edge, yeah.
This is so exciting for our team. We maybe a year ago we laughed about, LLMs on the edge. What are we gonna chat with our boxes, right? Chat with our robots or make up stories. But now, a year later, we're doing extremely useful things with VLMs right on the edge. So first time ever, we're demonstrating cascading from an object detection model, our new YOLO Pro class model, capturing the automobiles, cars of interest, like in a parking lot, and we're streaming that into a VLM and asking it questions. What's the color of this car? What's the make, the model? What's the license plate number? Really difficult stuff. Like, what does it say on the outside of the car, right? Is it a plumbing company? Is there a roof rack? Has this car been in an accident? It's amazing what you can get out of this. And so
I love that, and I love this question that just came in from Naveen. Congratulations on this exciting achievement. I'm intrigued to know if Edge Impulse plans to focus exclusively on supporting Qualcomm hardware moving forward, or upholds its initial commitment to remain inclusive of a diverse range of open source hardware options. By the way, I'm a huge open source fan. Naveen, thank you for that question. This is for Zach. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are an ecosystem platform. So we'll continue to support all the hardware architectures, all the cool boards and devices that we support today. And we'll continue to do really cool stuff on all the coolest hardware. But in addition to that, we're adding support for this really amazing series of Dragonwing hardware, because it gives us kind of superpowers, right? Like the Gen AI example that I just gave, we weren't able to run a VLM with 8 billion parameters on device before, right?
Yep.
So for the first time, we're able to do that. So think of it as the best of both worlds, right? Edge Impulse will continue to support all the cool hardware. Developers will be able to build anything they want and deploy it, and we'll be able to do much more now.
Yeah, I mean, we're fully aligned from Qualcomm side with that vision of creating a developer community, have everybody have a choice of platforms to work with, create their prototypes, understand the capabilities of these platforms. Obviously, we have platforms that range from anywhere from low tier of microprocessors to, very advanced microprocessors with hundreds of TOPS of performance. So now you have a wider range of applications to work with. So completely aligned with Zach and overall vision.
Yeah, exactly. Another interesting question: is computer vision the key focus for Qualcomm and Edge Impulse? And I assume a little bit that is the key focus for the acquisition between Qualcomm Edge Impulse, or are there other areas of opportunity for both Qualcomm and Edge Impulse?
Very good question. So what we're doing is helping people in IoT use data to solve their problems. It's not about computer vision, right? It's about data.
Data.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing from the field, from developers, from customers, is that this is really about multimodal AI, right? We're seeing applications with sensor fusion, sometimes dozens of sensor signals all at the same time, audio, both human speech and sounds, as well as computer vision. And we need to be able to process and help developers create models from that. So we'll continue to be multimodal, and that's important for Qualcomm, seeing applications across everything. It's important for Edge Impulse developers and customers. Going forward, I think the kind of holy grail will be, how do we do more with computer vision? Because computer vision is a really compelling application. And then how do we start to layer in additional signals? And that's what will get us to the point of the kind of industrial reliability in models. So you take a computer vision signal, right? We say, hey, somebody went across the safety line. If we can also get another signal from a sensor, for example, combine it, we'll get much higher accuracy, much better reliability.
Yep.
So this multimodal will be extremely important going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I call it contextual AI, right? I mean, you have one modality, but then you get other signals that aid in making more intelligent decision because you have the context around it, right?
Yep.
So it's not about one type of data, it's any modality. So I like the motto you said, like any data, any device.
Yep.
Right. I think that's what our vision is, that any kind of sensing data should be combined, more contextuality, better outcomes.
I love that. Yes. I actually also want to do a little shout out to a student who specifically says that they're a robotics enthusiast and IoT developer, only started using Edge Impulse 5 months and loves it. I'm excited to see what this merger will bring. Thank you, Sudhi.
Hey,
remember
thank
to
you.
post your
Thank
question?
you.
Yeah, it's for sure. Now I am going to put some links in our chat, and I'm hoping that our people forward them so that they can go to inclusive LinkedIn and Discord, where we're also posting. We do have a new question. Thank you, Mike. Question for Manny. Can you discuss what Qualcomm envisions for its future in the IoT space and how Edge AI ties into this? Ooh, good one.
So Qualcomm, as I said, we've got a roadmap of SoCs, all industrial, commercial, consumer, even connectivity. And what we envision is to enable AI at the edge across the board, even with processors that have maybe a very small amount of compute to very large amount of compute. So that's our vision, is to enable AI at the edge. And we want to be able to provide the tools to the developers to be able to do this in an easy fashion. And tools include, of course, Edge Impulse, but even beyond Edge Impulse, right? If you look at our integrated development environment, for you to then take what Edge Impulse artifacts come out, and then how to then build a real application around it. How do you reduce the friction in terms of actually developing this on our platform? Then we go into foundries. So if you're now ready to take your product and you want to deploy it in the field, you want to be able to do the device management lifecycle, or you want to be able to deploy a model that has been in the field where things are getting monitored and you're learning new things about that model that you want to then incorporate into your data. We want to tie that. So our vision is to tie every aspect all the way from data to deployment in a way that it makes it easier for anybody to use our platform. So to me, I think the missing piece that we had before was, yes, you could run a model on Qualcomm platform if you had a model that was pre-trained, but then beyond that, if you are a developer or if you're an enterprise and you want to be able to solve a real world problem and you want to deploy your solution to the market, there was this missing piece, about how do you take the data, how do you even collect the data, how do you clean the data, how do you label the data, pre-process it, train the model, experiment with it. All of these aspects, I mean, this is what we really love about Edge Impulse platform, is that it just makes it available to all of you. So our overall vision is to build the AI-driven community platform. I mean, that's what we want to enable. And whether you're a student or you're a pro developer or you're an enterprise, at every level, we want to make it seamless for you to be able to use these technologies that are delivered through our platforms. And of course, Qualcomm platforms, as I said, right, they have anywhere from a single CPU to a octa-core CPU with the hundreds of TOPS of performance, plus very advanced camera functionality, very advanced display functionality, graphics functionalities. So to bring all of those things to life to solve the problem, that's what we want to, with this platform, we want to make it easy for you to do what you need to do to solve your problems. And then, as I said earlier, it's all about data, insight to value, and that's the equation for us to solve.
Yeah, I love it.
We're already starting to see integration of these pieces, right, to make it easier. So now, what we launched on Monday is the ability to deploy to a Qualcomm IM SDK package directly from Edge Impulse.
Yeah.
That's really amazing, because that makes it so much easier to, we generate that container that you need, we configure GStreamer.
Yeah.
So you can now drop that onto a platform, but now we're also demonstrating this with Foundries. So I was just over here at Embedded World at the Foundries booth, and it was really amazing. They have a demo showing people detection, and it didn't work very well because, Embedded World's horrible. Crappy lighting, people doing weird things, different angles, so the model might not be the same. So what we saw them do is they automatically went and hooked up Edge Impulse, started collecting new data from the floor, right? Directly from the demo station. They collected new data into their Edge Impulse project live, and then they went and auto-labeled. So they used the AI auto-labeling, auto-labeled the people from the real environment, trained a new version of the model, and then used Foundries to take that container from Edge Impulse and deploy it in the field, right, on the show floor.
Literally live.
And then they had a great model, right, that's performing super well. So I
saw the accuracy went up significantly in a short period of experiment. And Tyler, who's our lead on the Foundry side, he's not an ML engineer, by the way.
No.
And he did that, just using the tool, following the instructions, and so super happy to see that.
Yes, I have also played with Edge Impulse a bit since we started testing, getting ready for Embedded World and whatnot, and it is click done. Is there, and this is a question out of left field, they didn't get prepped for this at all. Is there a way is there an API? I'm going to assume, because Edge Impulse is so developer forward, that there is an API to directly code into it. But if you have no programming experience, you can click. And correct about Tyler. He's very technical, not a programmer.
Yeah, we really believe in layering UI on top of APIs, right? So we are a SaaS infrastructure for development. So the studio that you see, the web UI that you get when you log into Edge Impulse, that's optional. Every single thing that you can do in that studio, we have a REST API for.
Yeah.
You can extend, automate, write Python to do things. In parallel to that, we have a very sophisticated Python SDK. So you haven't seen that yet, check out the Edge Impulse Python SDK. So that's what the kind of AI savvy developers and DevOps engineers use. So if you're a savvy developer, you'll just take the Python SDK, you'll start integrating that with your own AI project, and you can start importing your own model, hitting us for performance, deploying to a target right through that. You never have to log into the online IDE at all. So yeah, we have this kind of dual mode, right? You can do graphical, Or you can go straight into Python, or do both, right? Do graphical to try things out, use Python to automate. Best of both worlds.
Exactly. We have an amazing question, and Mr. Gowda, I'm not going to attempt your beautiful first name. What is the roadmap or vision of Edge Impulse on the microcontrollers? It was my impression that Edge Impulse was all about microcontrollers. But take it away, Zach.
Yeah, so our philosophy with Jan, right, when we started was that, you know what? Industrial engineers making real products don't care whether something's a microcontroller or an MPU or a CPU, or
Yeah.
they want to build something that works, right? And is at the energy and power and heat. You know, we're embedded engineers building real products. So our job is to make sure that we can deploy machine learning anywhere that developer needs. So we actually started Edge Impulse by enabling microcontrollers. And the reason was because it's hard, right? If we can do machine learning on microcontrollers, we can do machine learning on anything. And so the first year we did spend enabling all the microcontrollers. But right after that, we expanded to all of edge compute, right? So already for 4 years, we've been doing MPUs, CPUs, GPUs, everything from single core ARM all the way up to octo-core, highly accelerated 100 tops. And the interesting thing is that using Edge Impulse, we've been able to allow people to migrate those workloads across all of that. It's really cool. We can develop a model using our YOLO Pro architecture, for example, that will run on a high-end accelerated MCU, something like the STM32N6. Really cool. We can run object detection now on that MCU target. We can turn around and redeploy that on the RB3, doing like 8 streams in parallel, right? So then we can deploy that same workload on another target that runs Linux. And so the line between MCUs and MPUs is really being blurred. And I think it's important that we support all of these types of compute targets and help engineers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd add to that is that, you know, of course, MCUs have their special purpose in life. If you are cost sensitive, if you are really dealing with low complexity of models, or if you have real hard time requirements in your special use case, MCU is perfect. And I think that's the platform to use. But at some point of time, if your problem statement requires you to have advanced models like transformers, for example, or you want to now do something where you don't want to have to train your on data all the time, all sorts of data. Instead, use a VLM, zero shot learning, right? I mean, these are things that are possible today on MPU. If you are a security camera, you need very advanced camera capabilities. That's not available through MCUs. So it all boils down to what is the use case at the end of the day, and the use cases are advanced. I mean, even the industrial PCs, for example. Today, if you look at industrial PCs, they enable AI through PCIe to another AI accelerator. Our solution is all advanced. It does all of the function that all in an integrated SoC, and enables all those advanced functionalities that, of course, MCU cannot handle. So we're talking a broad range of IoT platforms that can go from a simple device that does predictive analysis based on vibration, or does simple object detection, to very, very advanced multi-stream. Like one of the, you saw the demo outside, right? We're doing 35 concurrent video streams at 1080p, 30 frames per second. I mean, that's amazing. That's a use case that, if you want to solve for that use case, you would go there. But of course, we want to enable all manners of and all scale of AI across different use cases.
And we should also remember we're seeing microcontrollers make their way into CPU SoC architectures, because they're really good for low power. They're really good for real time. And so we're going to see machine learning models deployed on both at the same time. So we've seen customers do things like very low power wake up, right? Has a sensor signal happened, has a voice or a sound, or a very simple image, somebody coming into the frame. And then we can use that microcontroller to wake up the Linux target
Yeah.
and start doing something much heavier. So we're always going to see microcontrollers and MPUs and CPUs work
Exactly.
together. And so Edge Impulse will always support all of them, right? So we'll keep doing a lot of work on MCU optimization, MCU support.
Yes, love it. I have one last question. I cannot believe it's already been an hour from Michael. How does some of the really novel third-party Edge AI hardware on Edge Impulse platform fit into Qualcomm's roadmap, and will adoption expand? I could say just yes, but I'll let you two be more eloquent about
I
it.
have a view on that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you have to remember that in embedded systems, right, is a very complex ecosystem of suppliers. If anybody has ever been to Embedded World, there's 5 halls of thousands of vendors with power equipment and camera systems and like thermal management and robotics control and motor drives, and there may be hundreds of chips that go into a product. So what our job as vendors is to enable the ecosystem to make use of the technology to build products. So as we go through towards some vendors and ODMs and OEMs, there will always be lots of different silicon coming together to create a solution. And so it's always going to be very heterogeneous, and that won't change in the future either. So
yeah, no, I totally see that. A combination of MPUs and MCUs or any other sort of processing. That I think the good part is your platform enables all of them, right? And it's at the end of the day, when a customer puts their product together, they can make use of these tools regardless of how they're putting it together. That's independent of what the tools provide.
yeah, so really encourage people to combine, right? Use the technology, push the limits, right? Put things together and see what works best. And I think that's why we have so much innovation in Edge AI, right? We're willing to do that and enable all the cool new technologies. So that's why I'm excited about the future, right? We get to do things that have never been done before, and then enable developers to go and innovate. So I just want to say thank you to our awesome developer community. Like, you guys rock.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, let's take a minute and say that again for the people in the back. Thank you to our developer community, because we wouldn't be here without you. Um, I totally misspoke. We do not have, that was not the last question. It has only been 30 minutes. I've been online for an hour. So that's
Awesome.
where that came from. We've got 30 more minutes. Please ask your questions in the chat, wherever it is in relationship to the actual stream. We'd love to hear from you. We have 30 more minutes. My question is, will Edge Impulse continue to be free for developers? Are there any upcoming changes to those plans that you offer, Zach?
Yeah, so we're all the time looking for opportunities to do more for developers, kind of enable people to take Edge Impulse, innovate, deploy, right? And what we want to know is, we want to hear about those applications, right? We want to help you succeed with doing cool things with Edge AI. So one of the great things about joining a larger organization is that, yes, we can start to open up our developer enablement, open up our developer plans. You'll see some cool news coming soon where, yeah, we'll be doing more for developers. Details to come.
Awesome. Awesome. I do hear that music in the background. We can still hear you just fine. If you want to bust out any dances, it's fine.
Stage,
I know.
Somebody hired a band behind us. It's cool.
I do want to, I mean, we've been showing off our vision kit, the RB. This is the beautiful kit that Zach and Manny have in front of them. It has a vision mezzanine. It is the tallest of the 6490. I do want to show off that we also have a core kit, and I definitely want to play with the core kit and the and Edge Impulse. But I'm particularly interested in playing with the Rubik Pi and Edge Impulse in particular.
Cool.
This is it's still in beta. It's baby. You can see that it's just one board of the full mezzanine of the full stack. It's this middle board, but it's got a lot of power. It's got the same chip. So let's go. Let's connect a
Yeah, I
Raspberry
mean,
camera to it and play. Go
yeah,
ahead,
no,
Manny.
I think we're gonna see how we enable our partners now as well on the Edge Impulse platform. It's not just about RB3 Gen 2 kit. At the end of the day, we want any form of partner hardware to be part of Edge Impulse ecosystem as well. So, it doesn't matter whether it's this kit or any other kit. Obviously, our partners are building all manners of different types of form factors, different capabilities. We have another partner, Particle, building a kit with 6490 with cellular capabilities. So it depends on what the developers are looking for, but our goal is to enable all forms of partner kits.
Yeah, we're going to see a whole ecosystem of this hardware, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have people making modules, they'll make development
Exactly.
boards, they'll make industrial gateways and cameras. Our job as Edge Impulse is to help integrate all that, help people make it easy to deploy AI to those products. So you're going to see a whole spectrum of devices that show up on Edge Impulse as targets, and that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Helps people innovate. Yeah.
Right, and I just also want to comment, I mean, it's not just about the physical hardware. We're also making Qualcomm device cloud with this, right? So that means you don't have to go buy a kit right away. If you want to just understand what this platform is capable of, you can log into our Qualcomm device cloud, which is going to be available at the end of the month, and start using that device to build your application and run a sample application and go from there. So we're enabling or making it more and more accessible for our developer community to be able to use and understand the platform. And so, yeah, love to see more developers come on these platforms and use them with Edge Impulse, of course.
Yeah, virtual hardware is an amazing, like I can't think about like 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have even thought that was possible, right?
We're very excited about it.
Yes. Go on.
One cool thing that we're seeing in addition to the virtual hardware is using AI Hub for performance analysis. So this is one of my favorite features is that when you're developing an AI, it's really hard to get an idea like how big is this model, right? I took a model architecture from the internet. It could require a small server room, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to judge, right? Is this going to fit on a 6490 or will it work on a microcontroller? So something that we do is that we're building in this performance analysis, right, profiling into the development flow. So when you start working on a model or choose an architecture or import a model, you can choose your target hardware. And so now, if you look at Edge Impulse now, we now have the RB3 Gen 2 come as a target. And what we're doing there is really cool. We're taking that model, we're training it, we're pushing it over to AI Hub, automatically running it on real hardware, right? Hosted by Qualcomm, running it on real hardware, profiling it. We're sending that back in real time, close to real time to the developer. And so they can see exactly how many milliseconds will this take, how much flash and RAM will it take. And that's priceless, right? Because now we can really see, how big of a model can I put in this device? How many models can I run in parallel? That I think is game changing.
Yeah,
right?
I think, and I'm glad you brought it up, and I forgot to mention earlier, Qualcomm AI Hub continues to be the strength in terms of be able to optimize the model for our hardware, right? And so maybe you want to touch on how you think about bring your own model, right? If you bring your own model to Edge Impulse, how do you then make sure that connects in the back end with the AI Hub so that your model is going to still be compiled on the Qualcomm hardware in the most efficient manner, optimized fashion, and then bring it back into Edge Impulse for the rest of the flow. I think that's going to be super cool as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're very big fans of mix and match, right? You don't have to use one tool for everything. So one of our goals is you can work on your own model, right? We can find a model architecture for you, and we'll automatically compile and optimize that for Qualcomm hardware using AI Hub tooling, right? We make that super easy, but we also do it for models that you import. So you can import a TensorFlow model, an Onyx model, bring that into Edge Impulse already pre-trained. We'll then right away show you what the performance is and help you compile that down and send that to the edge. And remember, it's not just about the model, right? if you think about Edge Impulse and what we're doing with Edge AI, it's about creating AI solutions. So we'll do much more. We can help set up the cameras, the pre-processing, the model, but also post-processing. So something we've started doing is building in counting, for example. We have tracking and ID code coming into the platform. So you can not only use a model, but use it to track objects, count them, identify is it the same person or vehicle, and then do something with that output. So it's going to get interesting how we can enable people to build like a real AI workload and make it easy to deploy that.
Super cool.
Yes, I have a question from Ken. Will Edge Impulse remain industrial focused? Momenta is a proud investor. Way to plug yourself, Ken. I appreciate you.
Great question, Ken. Hi, by the way. Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. Like when you think about like enabling developers more broadly, it's important not to try to guess what all the innovation is going to be. I can't guess. Like, when we started 5.5 years ago, there's no way I could have been able to imagine all the amazing things that people built. No way possible. Like in India, we have students building hospital monitoring systems for patients during COVID, right? And deploying them in hospital to help manage the situation and manage patients and understand who's having problems with their breathing rate. That kind of innovation I would never have imagined was possible.
Yeah.
So when we think about market segments, we look really broadly across IoT, right? So definitely we do a lot of industrial things, but we're involved with supply chain and logistics. We do healthcare, health wearables, medical devices, you name it, smart buildings, smart cities, smart home. Almost every market segment that you could use a microcontroller or an MPU combined with AI, that's something that we want to enable.
Yeah, I think it's all about sensor modalities. You have sensor modalities, no matter where it applies, you're using the data to train something that is usable in just about any. So
if it's related to sensors, sensor fusion, audio, computer vision, or basically any input that you can turn into a number, we want to build AI for that.
Exactly.
And deploy it on the edge.
That's the way to think about it. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah, and like I have this curiosity that I thought of, and then I immediately, because I'm an insider a bit. You may have seen me mention that I actually work here, but are there new tools or resources being planned that we're allowed to talk about right now to help developers optimize models for Qualcomm hardware?
I could talk about something.
Go ahead.
It's public, but I don't think people realize how powerful it is, right?
So yes.
So I talked a little earlier about this target-driven development. That's a philosophy we have. So
yeah.
The interesting thing is that because we work with the data in Edge Impulse, right? We're not just blindly working with like a model somebody downloaded from the internet, because it's hard to optimize something that somebody just like pre-trained on the internet for a cloud GPU, right? But because Edge Impulse starts with data and we're aware of the targets, what we can start to do is bring in the real data from the field, right? What's the problem that we want to solve? Like that Foundries example we had earlier with people. Choose like this kind of RB3 kit as a target, and then we know the performance, right, of every possible model architecture that we can imagine. We can then use AutoML tooling. So we have something called Eon Tuner. If you haven't used it yet, very cool feature. We combine that with experiments on Edge Impulse. And we can then go through a very large number of combinations of models with that data and that target and say, hey, I want to make this model work in less than 100 milliseconds. And we can then tell you what's the ideal model architecture that will get you the best accuracy with that data set for that target, right, within that budget of inference time or memory or anything else. And then optimization gets super interesting, right? Because we can trade off all of this like us engineers like to do, right? Trade off all of this to find a model architecture that's not only better, but maybe more suitable for your application. And this happened to Jan, our co-founder and CTO, who's the one that built all this infrastructure. He actually told me the other day he was working on an Edge Impulse project. He thought that, yeah, I know the best model, I know the best architecture for this thing, 95% accurate or something like that. And he's like, yeah, but you know what? I'll give Eon Tuner a try and see if it knows better. Sure enough, a few minutes later, it found a different model architecture that he had never thought about, got to 99% accuracy.
Whoa.
And so we're hitting a new world of this tooling that allows us to really like explore the entire design space and find different types of model architecture solutions that could do this better. And that's exciting, right? New tooling.
It's one of my favorite things about Edge Impulse. When I heard about that, I was like, that is cool. That is amazing. Another thing that probably is not related to model optimization, but I know you guys are working on it, is the model monitoring and the whole process of model monitoring. So I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit, because I think that is super important as well.
Yeah, it's a really something that we try to teach all of our developers, right? That AI is not a like one time collect a massive data set, train this incredibly large model, deploy it, and then forget. That is not how it works. So any of you that have done firmware development, you have to do a lot of iteration, right? You start working on an application, you deploy it, test it. Oh, we want to add something. You write some more code, right? And you deploy it again. Better way to think about AI is something closer to that, right?
Yeah.
We need to have people start with a little bit of data, right? Let's take the first 100 images, right? Or the first 1,000 samples of data, make them really high quality, and then let's train a small model that works on that data, and let's get it deployed as early as possible. So my recommendation, and this is why we love like real hardware and dev kits to work with, is work on something and deploy it for real. You can also deploy Edge Impulse directly on your phone, which is a really cool feature, right? So don't be scared to just take out your phone, hit our QR code to add the phone to your project. You can also try deploying on the phone. And so deploying early really helps you to start seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then we're starting to build a new feature in Edge Impulse called model monitoring. And so this model monitoring feature will help automate that process of, once you're in the field and deployed, we can start to monitor how good this model is, right? How is it working in the field, right? How often is it firing? Is it successful or failing? And then what we're doing is we're pushing new data samples that are interesting to Edge Impulse to your project. Then you can start to do AI auto labeling, and we can improve your model. And that's exactly what Tyler from Foundries did earlier. He used this kind of feature to improve the model. I think this is the paradigm in the future, right? Lots of small incremental improvements in a model, and that's how you go from day one to production.
Yeah. And then the other one that before I forget, is synthetic data. I love that feature as well. Is you don't have to go out there and collect data yourself. You could be sitting in front of your PC, running a model that can actually generate synthetic data. So, I mean, maybe you want to comment, but I think that I like the feature as well.
And that actually was born from us thinking about what's going to happen with Gen AI. Like, what's the future of Gen AI and Edge AI development?
Yeah.
And the first killer use case we found was exactly this. We can use any number of pluggable Gen AI models in Edge Impulse. We can actually use that to generate the synthetic data. And we can do that for human voice. So we just made a really cool,
that was a very cool demo
model that detects Hello Qualcomm. Completely generated with synthetic data, right? We didn't have to take a single human sample to do that. And it works really well. But we can also do it for other types of audio sounds, glass breaking, something crashing or crunching. And we can do it for computer vision. That's becoming super powerful, right? So I don't usually see people using purely synthetic data for production, because the best way to do this is take all the real world data you can, because it matches your camera placement and lighting and your microphone much better, and then layer on top synthetic data to cover the use cases that you haven't, the corner cases that you couldn't get data for.
I think that goes back to the quality of the model itself. The more data you have, where you don't have to actually go out and collect, but based on the real world data, you generate more data.
Yep.
You have more data that that covers all the distribution of the data is important here.
Yep.
And that gives you the quality of the model that you get out of it. So
exactly. I do want to say something because we've gotten a how can we get our own kit, and the full vision kit is higher priced than your average Raspberry Pi. That is an understatement, by the way. It's one of the reasons that Qualcomm is exploring and encouraging. This is a Thundercom board that is that single line, the Rubik Pi. This is one of the reasons why this was made, was to make it more accessible to play with Qualcomm chips at a lower price point with the same level of performance. So that's the RB3 Gen 2. I will now get you the Rubik Pi. Yeah, this is definitely an industrial level IoT device rather than a easily accessible for the individual employer developer. But yeah, I feel you, Shane. Thanks for bringing it up. This is just basically because one of our people was like, how can I get one? I want to also make it clear that this is not a sales stream, which for me personally makes me feel, but we are more focused on enabling the individual developer as well as the industrial developer to play with IoT devices and Edge Impulse. And that said, I have another question. So how can developers and businesses prepare for the next wave of AI, IoT transformation?
Super good question. The first thing is education, right? We have a whole suite of courses. So you can actually go to Edge Impulse and take any one of our courses. We have Coursera courses, and we have an entire Edge AI certification program. So you can certify yourself to be Edge Impulse, Edge AI certified. That's something I recommend. Learn about the use cases. Learn about business cases. A lot of AI is actually about justifying the business behind AI. So how can you solve problems that save people money? How can you solve problems that make people money? And how can you solve really simple problems, right?
Right.
Don't go crazy. Don't try to save the entire world. Save someone some time, right? or save resources, save power, right? Save water. So that's a really good starting point. The other thing is start collecting data early and often, right? AI is all about data. It's really about creating sets of data that are very high quality and that you can map to what's happening in the real world. And so it's a little bit different than IoT data, right? It's not just randomly taking temperature samples and not knowing what happened. It's actually about high quality data where we know, hey, something failed right here, right? Or the door opened right at this moment, right, when this sound happened. Or somebody's heart started having, problems, and we were measuring the patient right then. Those are the samples that we care about in AI. We want them to be like super detailed. We want full spectrum of those sensors. We want to be very careful in how we label that data. That's the kind of golden data that we want to start collecting. So it's good practice to start doing that, right? Think about that when you're starting a project. How can I collect that kind of data? How can I store it? How can I start testing it? Whether you're an individual developer or you're working at a large company, you want to start doing this. So I think that's an important thing.
Yeah, I think it, whatever stage you're in, again, whether you're a student or just an individual developer or enterprise, I think it's important to understand the problem definition, the problem that you're trying to solve. And we may not recognize it, right? Because maybe you've never used AI, but anything that you're building it can sense something. You can then figure out what problems that you've faced that can be solved with sensing data from it. So you're right. I mean, it all starts with data, but then even before that, it all starts with identifying a real world problem
Yeah.
that you want to solve. And again, like Zach said, right, you don't want to solve world hunger and peace. Just start with simple things that that you recognize are going wrong, but you want to have the ability to understand, get the insight into it, why it's going wrong, and that all is about recognizing the patterns in the data. And so yeah, I would say, get into the practice of understanding the problem statement, and then go from there, because the tools are available. Once you understand the problem, then the tools are available for you to solve that problem. And yeah, I would. And then there are lots of resources from Edge Impulse to walk you through how to do that. So.
Yeah, I put that link down below. I was really impressed with the tutorials. Even as simple as what is machine learning? What is machine learning on the edge? So like these are tutorials that are for both the well experienced Python developer who's been training their own model. It's also for the data scientist who is completely new to AI. And the tutorial resources there are absolutely fascinating. I did only link the one, but once you go in, you can see just a ton of tutorials are available for getting your skills going. Also, I forgot to say that if you would like to play with these kits, you can play with them virtually via qdc.qualcomm.com. And I wanted to add that we're definitely not saying you can't save the world, like go for it, but start with yourself, start with your community, start with your space and your passions, and go from there. And once you do save the world, let us know, because we want to support that. For another question, we are now prepped for the next wave of AI IoT transformation. I would love to hear about your favorite applications or use cases that you've seen so far, and then also what you want to see. Da, da, da.
Yeah, so I mean, I've watched how these large language models, vision language models have come along, and how they're getting more and more suitable for running it on at the edge devices. And to me, that has been the most exciting, I would say, part of how those apply to various different scenarios. Recently, we did build some use cases with Aramco, one of the biggest oil and natural gas company, where you can see how workers from all over the world working in that region can use the system in their natural language and be able to understand their environment, ask questions, like, for example, hey, what am I looking at? And they're looking at, because these are complex equipments, you can't possibly understand every aspect of the deployment that's out there. And you just point your camera to it. It tells you what that equipment is. It tells you what the operating procedures are. It tells you how to troubleshoot it, and it tells you it in your language. It translates it for you. I mean, this is unbelievable. This is incredible to me. I mean, I feel like, this empowers everybody, right? At any skill level, you can walk in there and you'll be able to learn, just for training. People coming on board, trying to manage complex systems. I mean, you could be looking at a car engine. You just point your camera to it, and it teaches you what you're looking at, how it operates, what are the different components of it, and it can do that in all manners of language, and you can interact with it in natural language. This is superpower that I think you get that immediately with these type of things. And vision language model is another way. So I think, to me, that is the most favorite application so far that I have seen, where people are empowered to do things that otherwise won't be possible. So.
And I believe exactly the same. Like, for the future, I want to see people doing more small models and big models. So how do we
Mm.
go combine discrete models that find the interesting things about the world, and then make use of VLMs, SLMs, LLMs to integrate that in people's workflows, right? I think that's where it's really powerful, is how do we save people time. But I get excited about industrial stuff, right? So I have so many, hundreds of thousands of applications I've seen. But one that sticks to mind is a project we did with a power line monitoring company. So they make the little sensors that go on the power line insulator. So if you think of like PG&E in California, where I lived for 10 years, um, huge problems with forest fires, right? And most of those forest fires are caused by lines falling down during high winds, sparking a fire, and us not knowing where it happened. And so what this company was able to do was put a cellular connected device onto the insulators of the power lines, look at the signals coming through, and then use Edge Impulse to train a model that could detect incredible things in real time. Did a tree touch the power line? Is there ice buildup, right? Has something happened where a line has fallen down? Is there a fire around the line? Like, really incredible stuff that I didn't know was even possible. They can detect that in real time with 10-year battery life.
Whoa.
Open the cellular connection and immediately tell the energy company that there's a problem right here. That would save so many lives, so much property, so much damage. So this is one that always inspired me. Another great example is a cool little startup called Nextera Tech that uses radar sensing to detect lithium-ion batteries that make their way to garbage disposal systems. So when we throw away lithium-ion batteries, it is a massive disaster, right?
Yeah.
It injures people that are working with the trash. It lights entire waste facilities on fire, which is a gigantic disaster. So billions of dollars wasted annually in the US alone for this. So smart young engineers using radar systems in Edge Impulse to detect when these lithium-ion batteries are hitting a waste bin, for example. So I think that's a great example of really innovative work.
Yes, yes. Okay, gauntlet thrown to people who are watching this currently live or in the future. You've heard the apps that we'd like to see. We'd love to hear what your apps are, what you're building. Frankly, we are at the. I love that this already went out. Very important question, Manny, Zach. Are you team cat or team dog?
Oh,
I am certainly team dog.
Manny.
So
Not that
this
I'm
is
biased,
this is
obviously
a fun
not
question.
biased.
The fun question. The reason is that we actually have a cats channel on Edge Impulse Slack. So
Describe the purpose for it.
Yeah,
Tell us more about it.
we have a lot of cat people. So
I see.
so people post pictures of our cats. I have a cat too.
I see.
People post pictures of our cats and really cool cat ML projects. So
Yes.
some of the early Edge Impulse computer vision on microcontroller projects involved cats.
Okay.
Matthijs, one of our engineers, made a cat detector and differentiator. And one of our customers happens to be in the pet industry, working on cats and dogs. So yeah, we've actually doing real cat and dog projects for customers.
So my first project with Edge Impulse, dog or no dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use my smartphone to take pictures of my dog and no dog, just like Jan does his, Jan or no Jan.
Yeah. Jan, yeah.
I love that. Apparently, by the way, Zach, Edge Impulse also has a dogs channel.
They don't invite me though. They can invite Manny, right?
They can invite me.
All right, I'm going to kick you two out. Thank you so much for sharing your answers with us today, and congratulations on the announcements. Zach apparently is not allowed in the dogs channel, but now that the stream is over, maybe that will shift. My name is Rain. I'm a developer advocate. This is Manny and Zach of Qualcomm and Edge Impulse, and thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day, y'all. I'm going to remove you from the stage and close it out very carefully. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. Oh, yes. And now that the stream is over and our background music is done, we can have some of our own music. Thanks so much, guys.